Hi, Tina, and welcome. Your story is nothing short of inspiring, and I thought, especially at the beginning of the year, it would be awesome to hear a little bit about it, as I know there are people out there that want to make some changes. Perhaps they haven't got the courage or the doubt, and I know that your story will inspire them. So we worked together 2019, 2020, so a good 2 years ago now. So tell me a little bit about where you were when you reached out to me that time ago.
Hi, Mandy. Yeah, thanks for having me along. It's been such a journey and one that I'm happy to share. So when I first come to work with you, back in the start of 2019, I guess life was pretty out of control for me. I had hit rock bottom, and I knew that I didn't want to be there, and there had to be a way to get out of the position that I was in. And I had considered coaching before, and I think that was the time where it really came to the front of mind for me. Is like, okay, this is the path I want to go down. And I was lacking motivation and direction. I just didn't, everything was just up in the air for me. So I did a Google search and came across you, and because I was in the local area, and I set up the initial consult with you, and we had the phone conversation, and I knew from that yep, this is where I need to be, this is what I need to do, and this is the direction forward for me. So very thankful at that point in time that I found you.
Yeah, and I believe you had a job in those days, but it wasn't long after when I think that disappeared too, and you made some massive changes. So tell me about that bit.
Yeah, so I guess at that point in time, I had a relationship breakdown, and I was, working 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, in a very challenging roles, but I was completely unfulfilled, very unhappy with what I was doing, and the opportunity came for me to, I guess, not work in that environment anymore. So I could have easily just gone back and, what was comfortable, and gone back into full-time work. But I decided at that point in time, working with you, that this is the time for me to look at the direction that I want to go in. And that's when I went back to uni, actually, and studied interior design, which was a complete flip to what I've been doing for the last 25 years.
And one thing I remember is we did your profile, because I'm a big supporter of the wealth and talent dynamics. And I think that was, I know it was a long time ago, but I think it was quite insightful, because it gave you some, I guess, insights into why there were certain things that you weren't enjoying at work, and certain aspects about you. Yeah,
definitely. Although in terms of what I was doing in my career were things that I was good at, they weren't fulfilling me. They just weren't filling my cup up.
Yeah. And I remember you had a lot of like dynamo creative energy, which didn't surprise me that you got into what you do. But I'm sure everyone would love to know what, it's better to hear it from you. What were some of the things that helped you changes, or what changes did you make along the way?
So I guess one of the big things for me was in the activities that I went through with you, and understanding that whole concept of thoughts, affect your feelings, and then feelings affect your behaviors. And so I was allowing my thoughts to run my day to day. And, they were all consuming. And, I'm a very grateful person, but I've never gone through that process of writing down my gratitudes and feeling my gratitudes every day. And that was really helpful for me. And, you reminding me that it can be any small things. It doesn't have to be massive things every day, but really acknowledging your gratitudes, writing them down, and your achievements every day. Again, like you go through the days, and at the end of the day, like, oh, what did I do today? When you break it down and you think about all the little things that you've done and who you've impacted, and taking the time to process that was really helpful for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do remember that you, like so many of my clients, I was talking to a new one today, are super hard on themselves. And as I know, and I've shared with many people, I had a gold medal in that once, and it doesn't get great results. And unfortunately, as you know, it takes a lot of time to unpack our thoughts. However, our thoughts are habits as well, and most of them are running around and we buy into them, or we argue and we fight. So helping you become aware of them and then change them so that you're telling yourself better stories and creating a new future. I think it took a little bit of doing, but was incredibly helpful. And because you used to be hard on yourself, I know that writing and acknowledging your own successes was a really important step.
100%. You know, I was definitely a perfectionist, and it allowed me that space to go, well, everything doesn't have to be perfect and everything doesn't have to be this particular way, and rewriting, you know, my own story based on what's inside of me, not the pressures of what I was putting on myself from external.
Yeah. And in my work, I always do a bit of belief work. I know we help to clean out some of those limiting beliefs that we all have at whatever level we're playing in life. There's always something that's in the way. And I know when we worked on that and aligning parts and the inner conflicts, and you got super clear on your values, I saw a massive shift in you and your confidence and I guess personal power.
Oh, doing the values exercise was a game changer for me. You know, you sort of think, oh yeah, I live my life to my values, but going through that process of, well, what are my values, and then drilling down into those and how they affect your day to day and the decisions that you're making, the choices that you're making, and even looking at shadow values of you know, how they're playing out every day, was a complete game changer. And you know, that the self-doubt that I had and those limiting beliefs that, you know, I mean, I still carry them around. We're definitely not cured when we go through this, but the understanding, the awareness of that is so helpful when you're looking at different directions and different choices, you know, that you want to make. So understanding that is, it's just so helpful.
Yeah. And do you believe that the work that you did to grow your confidence and belief was helpful in the major decisions you've made, which you can share with us, like what you did after your studies and then coming back to the now?
Oh, without a doubt. So I guess I got the confidence, even going back to uni and studying, and you know, the whole 2 years I was working with you, I was studying and working as a consultant on the side. And, you know, working with you to give me the confidence to keep going with that was amazing. But then, well, what do I do at the end of uni? You know, that was always playing on my mind. And, you know, so we worked through that when I was at uni, and the whole concept of at the end of now starting and building my own business. If you would have asked me, you know, 2 years before I started with you, if that was ever a possibility, it would have been 100% no. I don't have the confidence, and that's not for me. So even, you know, and then I went and travelled on my own.
Hey, expand a little bit on it, because I mean, that's amazing. I've seen your amazing little home, which has a name, but I'll let you share that. And I mean, what an adventure.
Oh, so I purchased a Ford Transit van called Edna. She was amazing, like fully fitted out. And off we went. We travelled around Australia for 10 months, and I just had the best time. Like it was so challenging being on my own and making decisions on my own, even of where to go, where to stay, planning my days. You know, all that was on me, and that was challenging, but in a really good way, because I proved to myself that I could do it. I could make the decisions. I could make decisions safely. And I just had such an experience, and you know, I wouldn't change that for the world.
And
Definitely.
that's
And
so
I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that beforehand.
And that's so inspiring for many people. I mean, I was fortunate. I traveled the world years ago, but especially with, you know, people getting a bit shaken up over that COVID times, so many people have this little desire to change their job or change what they do or whatever, but it all comes down really to taking that step and working on ourselves. And then, you went around Australia on your own in your camper van, which is incredible. And then when you came back, tell us the next step, which is equally as exciting, or maybe not, but I think it is.
Yeah. So when I came back, obviously I worked on launching my business, my interior design business, and I have always been fascinated with tiny homes. And it just so happened that I saw a shell of a tiny home for sale not far from where I was staying at the time. And I thought, hey, why not? Let's give this a go. So I purchased a tiny home. It's on wheels, so it's on a trailer, and it was just the shell. And I designed and fitted out the whole inside of the tiny home on my own.
Wow.
Obviously, I had help with heavy things, and when I needed more than two hands. But 95% of it I've done on my own, which I live in now, and I'm completely off the grid, and it's amazing. Love
wow,
it.
that's fantastic. Yeah, and you must send us a picture of your tiny home as well, so we can have people have a look at it. But so you travelled around Australia on your own. You built and decked out it. Oh, you did the tiny home on your own, and you set your business up. We worked a while ago. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so I originally was on the Sunshine Coast. I'm just north of the Sunshine Coast now. However, my clientele is Sunshine Coast up to the Gympie area. And I specialise in renovations. So if people want to redo their bathrooms, their kitchens, or anything in their house, really. So redesigning that, doing 2D and 3D modelling for clients and helping them choose colours, materials, a lot of space planning. I've also done some commercial refits as well, so commercial offices, which is very different to residential and just as fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've sort of followed my passion, and that's, I'm feeling much more energised about that now.
Good. That's fantastic. Now tell us so everyone can hear it. What's the name of your business?
Studio Boss Interiors.
Studio Boss Interiors. Great. Did you believe that you could do all this before you worked on yourself through our mindset coaching program?
No, definitely not. And, I'm in my early 40s now, or mid 40s actually. Yeah, a few years have gone past. And like this should be taught at school. Like, this sort of stuff should be taught when we're a lot younger, because I believe people's lives would be different knowing this earlier. Because I know my life's changed, and I don't, to say to other people, if try coaching, don't wait until you hit rock bottom. Like, you don't need to be struggling, and you don't need to be in quicksand to go down this journey. And I think everyone should give themselves the opportunity to go down this path. For me, I feel like, well, we're responsible and accountable for ourselves, and we're no good to ourselves or to others if we're not working at our optimum and if our mindset's not right. So I just think that everyone, should give themselves the opportunity to do that, because I wouldn't be where I am now without, going through that journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes we're not in Australia, a lot of people aren't used, Tina, to investing in themselves. They'll buy a new car and get the car service. So it's for some people it's very difficult to look at a price of coaching and see the value. But my philosophy is I want to give someone a minimum 10 times the value of what they paid. So from where you are now, do you believe that you have got minimum 10 times the value? And we haven't rehearsed this, 10 times the value of what you paid for our coaching?
Oh, yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I was the same, like, in terms of making the decision of spending that on myself. Oh, like, well, that's all, it seems to be investing in yourself is you always put yourself last. And looking back now, it's like, I wouldn't question it. I wouldn't question it now.
Mm.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's great for people to hear this, from somebody that's done it. I know the challenges of, the little thoughts that come up when we invest in ourselves. When I took my journey some 20 years ago, I think I spent $25,000 and I had to do it, but it was terrifying. But you know what? I managed to pay it all back, because when we commit with money and time and our personal commitment and we leverage, magic happens. And I will say about you, you were very, very diligent a lot of the time about doing the small techniques and some of the tasking that I set you, not all the time, but you stuck with it. And I think that's important. It's the consistency and knowing there's going to be ups and downs along the way. But I think we were together for about 2 years, and having somebody to be with you on a longer journey, I truly believe is what's also exceptionally helpful.
Without a doubt, because I mean, there's a lot of times you make decisions like, oh, I can do that on my own. Like, I'm a very independent person. It's like, well, I can do that on my own. But having someone like you that I need to be accountable to, because consistency is the biggest thing I struggle with, and I believe a lot of people are the same. Sort of you go gun ho for quite a bit, and then you fade off. But the consistency is key, and having someone that you need to be accountable to is so helpful to keep you going and keep you motivated.
Yeah. Hey, I have a coach I spend quite a bit of money on too, but I believe we all function better, and I wouldn't dream of being a coach and not having a coach myself. But and my philosophy is, why not change willingly rather than wait, as exactly you say. However, quite a few people do contact me, obviously, when they're stuck or down at the bottom, because it's very hard to dig our way out of our own little hole that we make. However, we create most of our problems, which means in there is the solution. And as humans, we're not very good at finding it ourselves. So, hey, it was just wonderful to reconnect again. It was fantastic working with you.
Yeah.
And lastly, if somebody was thinking about investing in themselves in coaching, whether it's me or another mindset coach, what would you say to them if they were, oh, I don't know whether to do this? What would be your words of wisdom to them, Tina?
Do it. You won't regret it. You can only improve. There is no going back when you work on yourself. You can only prove it. It can be at times hard, and I think for me that was part of the process of going through the hard times to get to see the light.
Absolutely.
100%.
And you're so right. There's no easy path to success, and growth only happens in the outside the comfort zone. And when we're out of the comfort zone, at the very nature of it, it's uncomfortable. I sometimes put the analogy of a caterpillar, or a chrysalis, and then becomes a butterfly. I'm sure there's a lot of perturbation and challenge within that. However, just to recap, imagine what you've done. It doesn't mean that everybody else is going to follow your path, but the possibilities and the world that opens up in a new way is phenomenal. If you can change your life, change your job, get out of a not a great place you were in, reinvent yourself, go to college, set up a business, travel on your own, and now deck yourself up with a tiny home. My question is, what isn't possible for others? So thank you so much for sharing with me today. My hope is that it inspires someone somewhere to make that change, whatever it is for them. And if anybody is watching this, then please reach out to me. I would love to be the one to help you. Otherwise, make sure you get out there and do something. Life is not a dress rehearsal. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Tina. That's awesome.